Welcome back to the Coming Home to You Sparkcast, the sanctuary for soul-led women, healers, mamas, visionaries, and leaders who are ready to rise fully in their light. Here is where we remember what it means to come home to ourselves, beyond the roles, beyond the noise, and beyond the expectations, because coming home to you is not a destination. It's a what? It's a devotion. I know you've heard me say this every time, but it bears repeating because it's fact. So this is a space where progress matters more than perfection, and every episode is that invitation and a step on your journey towards that, to reconnect with yourself in the true essence of who you are on this unique path that is folding before you. And so now, before we dive in, let's begin, as we always do, with our sacred ritual, our one breath and one heart. Together, let's take a moment to be fully present in the moment and arrive together. So place one hand in your heart and the other in your womb, in your belly. Inhale deeply in through the nose, really feeling that cleansing breath coming and rising up to the crown of your head. And just holding it here and allowing it to just sit. And when you blow out your mouth, release it with a sigh, really letting go anything not serving you in this moment. Take another deep breath in. And now, as you take a deep breath in, I want you to stack a moment of gratitude. What are you grateful for today? And when you bring to mind that gratitude, allow that smile to percolate on your face. Smile with your being. And as you release the air, allow that gratitude ripple forward out into the circle. Now I want you to take one more deep, slow breath with intention. Really grounding yourself here, feeling your feet on the ground, feeling your shoulders drop. Adding another moment of gratitude, really feeling your body smiling, embracing, allowing it to glow inside, expanding your heart. And as you release the air slowly with 8 counts, really feel the ripple of gratitude reaching all of those beyond the circle who are looking to feel like they belong. And now in this space, I want you to set your intention. How would you like to show up, be held in this space, to be received in this moment? Ground yourself. And when one last deep breath, we arrive in one heart and one breath. Thank you, sisters. Sometimes I get to really pause and feel the intention of why I do these breaths every time. So I just want to say thank you. Oh, that was beautiful. I needed that. So today, I am so honored to welcome back to the show Mel Mason. She was my captain in my leadership container, and she is the clutter expert herself. So interesting how I sourced her in my life. So, from surviving childhood trauma to creating a life of clarity, abundance, and joy, Mel has turned her pain truly into her purpose. And she has dedicated her entire life to helping people clear the clutter, not just in their homes, but in their hearts and in their minds. Through her books, her programs, and international work, Mel really empowers people to let go of what no longer serves them so that they can make room for their truest selves. Please help me welcome to the Sparkcast, Mel. Welcome.
Margarita, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with you. And I love your summary of my biography. I think I'm going to snag that from you. I think that came out really good.
Cool. I love it.
Love it. I'll take it. I was like, ooh, that's really good.
I love it. Yes, I receive. And that's the magic of doing this kind of stuff, and just kind of putting your own twist on it. And so Um, so I had you recently on the Sparkcast, and you spoke so beautifully on your journey coming home to yourself when it comes to balance and harmony. But here we're talking about like really what it looks like to come home to yourself beyond the noise, right? As I mentioned, and beyond all the expectations. And there's always that deep-rooted start where we ground ourselves in our truth, reclaiming our identity. And your journey, Mel, into this work really comes from such a powerful personal story. Can you please share with us how your early experiences with trauma and clutter shaped your mission and the woman that you are today?
I'd be honored to. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, you've probably heard the phrase, your mess is your message. If you're, if you have your own business and you're putting yourself out there, it's usually the biggest challenges that you've overcome in your life are the message that you get to share with others. And I'm definitely no different. Growing up, you couldn't actually walk in my room. If you tried to come in my room, you were going to need to have a life insurance policy because you were probably going to break your neck.
Oh no.
And, my room, it wasn't, I mean, fortunately, I was just a kid and I didn't have a ton of stuff yet. But like if it had gone on for years and years and years, it would have like grown into walls and walls and walls, right? And just no pathway. I mean, often as at least my clients that I work with, they have pathways, right? You can get to one room from the other, or even if it's really, really narrow, you might not be able to get anything else but your body twisted sideways down the little pathway, but there's a pathway. I didn't have that.
You had an
Like
ecosystem.
my entire floor was just completely covered. And it wasn't just stuff though. Like the stuff was there, but trash was there. Like it was just a mess. And what it really reflected was the mess that I was on the inside.
Mm.
And, you know, I say I was littered with clutter on the inside. And that's why my outside looked the way that it did. Because, one truth is that your outside is always going to match your inside. The outside is simply just a mirror, right? We might notice it, we might understand it as like, when you're pointing the finger at somebody else, you always hear you got four fingers pointing back at yourself, like when you're blaming somebody, right? Well, that's because the outside reflects you. You can't see something in somebody else if it's not in you. So your outside is going to reflect. And so my outside was clearly a reflection of what was going on inside of me at such a young age. I won't go into all the details, but I'm no stranger to trauma, sexual abuse, abandonment, loss to suicide. A lot of stuff happened in my life really early on. And at 15 years old, my brother committed suicide, and that was almost the nail in my coffin. I was like, I'm out of here. I already didn't want to be in a body on this planet, and that was kind of like, yep, we're out, we're going. And at that point, God intervened in my life and sent me away to live in a residential treatment center for adolescents, where I got to spend the next year and a half of my life. But while I was living there, I was introduced to something that transformed my life that I never expected. And what I really learned in a nutshell was how to be willing to look at that inner clutter that had been accumulating from all of that trauma and all of that loss. Now, what I'll first say is that never once did I think like, oh, I should really clean my room, or oh, I should really get organized. Like that was never a thought in my mind. And that's why I love what I teach, because what I teach happens from the inside out, whether you believe in it or not, and it happens accidentally and unconsciously. And that's the beauty of what I teach people.
Why do you
And
think
the
you
only
didn't think
reason
about
why,
it? Why do you think it
say
wasn't
that
a
again,
conscious thought? Why do you think it wasn't a conscious thought at that moment yet for you?
because because at that point in my life, all I cared about was dying.
Mm, wow.
I didn't care about living. And so having my room organized or clean was like, why?
Why
I don't want to
bother?
be here. What does it matter?
Yeah.
You know? And so it doesn't matter how deep or how dark you are, when you become willing to actually look at the inner clutter, the root of it all, something really magical starts to happen. And that is when you become willing to look and you do this work, you start to unconsciously and spontaneously need to have order in your life. So the first thing that happens is you need to have order. You're not going to go let go of all the things that you're attached to all at once. And so what happened for me was I just I went from being fine living in chaos to needing to have order in my life. And so everything needed to have a place and everything needed to be in its place. I still
Mm.
had tons of attachments to stuff. I was like, I like my books, I like my music, I like my containers. Like I had my things that I was super attached to that I wouldn't let go of. But that need to have order in my life happened first. And I truly believe that that's because God is a God of order. And when you begin to heal, you begin to remove the things that block you from having a relationship with Him, from letting Him into your life. And when you let Him in, He's a God of order. And so, for those of you out there that also think like I don't have an organizing bone in my body, like it's just not in me. This is just the way that I am. I'm going to call BS on that because God is your creator and He's a God of order. And
Hmm.
so the minute that you start to make the space for Him to work, He's going to create order in your life. And so that happens first. And it took me years to let go of a lot of the things that I was attached to. And it takes time. It takes that willingness to look over and over again. But the first thing that happens is the need to have order. And so I went from being that cluttered mess, living in total chaos and filth, to someone who had a place for everything and everything in its place within about a year's time. Now, that's because I was so young and I didn't have a ton of stuff yet. Okay. So, for my clients out there and the people out there that this has been going on for years, it takes a long time. I don't candy coat things and sugarcoat things. Like, this is not an overnight process, especially if you've been dealing with this for years. You're not going to go from completely chaotic and disorganized and hanging on to a ton of stuff to being completely organized and letting it all go at once. The way
Hmm.
that it accumulated little by little is the way that it's going to go away. And that's just the way that it has to happen in order for it to be sustainable and to be lasting.
I love that. I love how you really hide it with a beautiful bow at the end to give us permission to fail because it's going to happen. And I think that's what I heard land for me the most where I was getting stuck, where I was feeling broken. I was like, oh, I have all this awareness and I'm doing all this work and I feel like I take two steps forward and just to fall back a few more. So thank you for saying it so beautifully and for really not sugarcoating it because that is what the work looks like. And it is not one and done. It doesn't happen overnight. And so thank you for really
Oh,
expressing that. It is really what I heard you say too was the willingness, just being willing to look is the first step.
yeah.
So start
That's
small,
the
start
key to
where
it
you are.
all. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
It's all
So
willingness.
when we start being willing to look at that, we start to feel ourselves rising into that spark, overcoming that limiting belief. And this is when we get to start reframing how we're coding or what lenses we're putting on and what perspective we're seeing life through. And so many people really feel overwhelmed by clutter, physical and emotional, right? And don't know where to start. So, what was your own turning point when you broke free? And how do you help others reframe clutter as an opportunity for growth? Like reframing the clutter.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's so funny how we don't know what we don't know until we know it, right? And like one day after I'd been working, I wound up like getting to take like 6 months off and just really create space in my life, right? After going through a lot of stuff back in like 2013, I got to take like 6 months off. And it was in that time frame that I watched the show Hoarders for the very first time. I'd never seen it before. And if anybody's ever seen it, it's a really traumatizing show to watch.
Very heart-wrenching,
With
yeah.
with my background in energy healing and all the work that I did, I was watching the show and I knew that I knew that I could keep the clutter from coming back. I didn't actually know how I did it, but I was like, well, I used to be a mess and I cleaned my room and I got organized and the clutter didn't come back. So I watched the show and I was just like, oh my gosh, what they're doing to people is causing more harm.
Mm.
They're really traumatizing people by making them look at everything that they own in like a 4-day period of time. And so God gave me the idea to like launch an organizing business. I was like, well, I can hold really safe space for people because of my background in energy healing. People trust me and open up to me, and I can hold that safe space. I love creating order out of chaos. Like that shifted. That's the work that God did in me. And I know how to keep the clutter from coming back. So why don't I launch an organizing business? And it wasn't until I launched my own business that I actually started to look at my own journey. Well, like, well, how did I get organized? Like, I didn't even really know how it happened until I started to look back on it. And what I realized was the secret to all of it was really the willingness to look, right? It's this willingness to look. And if you think about the piles of clutter that accumulate, the drawers that overflow, really it accumulates. If you boil it down to its simplest point, it accumulates because you're unwilling to look at it. For whatever reason, you don't know what to do with it, you don't want to deal with it, you're afraid, whatever the story is, it all boils down to unwillingness. And if we're unwilling to look at what's going on outside of us, and the outside is just a mirror, what does that mean?
Mm. Not willing to
I'm
look inside.
just unwilling to look within, right? And so that's what I realized, is that I learned this process of how to become willing to look within. And that's what shifted everything. I wasn't trying to get organized. I didn't care about organizing. I like wanted to die. But because I became willing to start looking within at the inner clutter, at all of the unprocessed emotions, all of the resentments, all of the limiting beliefs, all of the things, as I began to start looking at that, I unconsciously, like I never once was like, oh, it's Friday, I should spend a couple hours cleaning my room. Like it was just unconscious. Like next thing I know, I'm just creating order. Things need to have order and I'm just doing it. And as I'm looking at things, I'm letting go of a little bit here and a little bit there. And as I keep looking, I let go of a little bit more, but that it just happens spontaneously and effortlessly. And so for those of you out there that have tried to get organized in the past and you're going from the outside in, you've probably found that every time you organize something, the clutter just comes back.
Mhm.
The closet's a mess again, the pantry's a mess again, you can't park the car back in the garage again, right? Whatever the story. And that's just simply because you've been putting the cart before the horse.
Mm.
It has to start from the inside out in order for it to last. So that's the first huge shift, is being willing to look within, which is simply just taking 5 minutes a day to witness your own experience. Like it's not even complicated. It's not even meditation. It's simply being the observer of your experience. I mean, if you want to simplify it, it's mindfulness, right? You're really just being willing to experience you exactly as you are, racing thoughts, judgments, whatever's happening in the moment, whatever you're feeling in your body, whatever you're sensing, whatever it is, simply just being willing to experience you and create space for you for 5 minutes a day. And that simple creating space for you starts to translate. If you're making space for you, you got to make space outside too. It just starts to happen. Right. And so the huge first reframe is it gets to happen from the inside out first, if you want the lasting change. Now, the second big piece really is, and this is kind of probably going to be heartbreaking for some, but I don't pull punches, right? So however long it's been going on for you that you've been accumulating stuff, it's probably going to take half as long for you to get through it all and for you to really start shifting. Because in order to have it be sustainable, it gets to be like working out. So you wouldn't go to the gym for 6 hours, like once a week or 3 days a week. You're going to go to the gym maybe 3 to 5 days a week, probably for 30 to 60 minutes, in order for it to be a sustainable lifestyle, in order for you to stay consistent with it. And so the same needs to happen with going through your stuff. You can't just like, oh, this weekend I'm going to clean out the entire garage.
Overwhelming.
And then what happens? You rip everything out of the garage. It's in the driveway. And then you're looking at it and you're like, oh crap, what do I do now? Now you're really overwhelmed.
Yes.
Then what happens next? It's like, crap, forget this. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to shove it all back in the garage.
Hmm.
And
Maybe
then
you
it's
get rid
10
of
times
one
worse. Yeah, maybe you probably get rid of some. You've probably made some decisions. You've done a little bit, but you get to this point where, like, oh my gosh, and you're not seeing progress
thing.
because there's so much you can't even see
Yeah.
progress. So
It's
you shove it
futile.
all back.
Mhm.
And then you're like, then it's worse than it was when you started. And so the method that I teach my clients is simply, it's just like everything else, right? Like, how would you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we do one box, 1 square foot, one small area at a time. And when you start with that small area and you complete it, because usually if you just start with something super small, like no bigger than the size of a book box, it doesn't actually take you that long to get through it. And when you get through it, you've completed it. So then you get the dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And you're like,
You feel good.
ooh, this feels good. This
Mhm.
wasn't so bad. I didn't die. Right? I didn't die. Oh my gosh,
Alive.
I can do this. And then you want to continue, right? It's like, oh, I can do another box and I could do another square foot. And the next thing you know, you've got some space you've just created without making a mess, without feeling overwhelmed. So
Mm.
the two biggest reframes are really it gets to start from the inside out and starting small. You're not tackling a whole project all at once. You're doing one little square foot, and then maybe that doesn't work for you, and you just do 15 to 30 minutes a couple times a week to get started,
Hmm.
and just deal with what you can. However, you can break it up to start small to get those small incremental wins so that you want to keep going. Because, like, if you're throwing everything in the driveway or you're throwing everything on your bed and you start trying to make decisions one by one, that pile ain't going anywhere. You don't see any visual progress. And so that's just defeating. You're like, oh, this is never going to end. But when you do it in these small incremental pieces, then you get the wins. And then you want to keep going.
Yes, I can see how that would be very empowering. Um, I've had those moments where I've had, uh, okay, today I'm just going to tackle the corner over here and do just this. And there is that hit. And then it plays on your confidence. You're like, okay, it's actually not as, and it looks good. You feel like, oh my gosh, doesn't only just clear out that physical space, but I feel like it clears out an emotional, mental space that was holding on to that too, which I think is like a win-win. So thank you so much for these beautiful reframes. They seem very practical and doable. So just doing it and giving yourself grace, not getting it right. Just as long as you're progress, just like I said in the beginning, not perfection.
Exactly. Just be
And
willing to look. That's it.
be willing to look. And then those times when life happens and you feel like you're not moving forward and the reframing is only taking you so far, it's important to have sacred tools, whether that is falling on your face, whether it's maintaining your wellness, mind, body, and soul, or just that inner resilience that you build over time of continuously doing the work. And your work really does go beyond tidying up, right? It's really about that inner transformation. So what are some of those sacred tools or practices that you teach people that you use yourself to release clutter and create lasting change from the inside out?
Well, I mean, number one, of course, for me is prayer, right? Like God is center in my life. So I don't do anything without him. And he's the one who's been leading my life. And, I call it following the breadcrumbs of the Holy Spirit, right? Who led me into this work in the first place. And even when I was the obstinate, defiant prodigal daughter for like 31 years and totally was like doing my own thing, he's like, I'm still going to use all of this. So first and foremost is like whatever you get to have a relationship with something, a power greater than you, because I'm just gonna whatever you believe in, you didn't create yourself. You didn't create the trees, you didn't create the earth. it's not you, right? And so there's something bigger than you. And so if that's where you can start there, and God will work his magic because that's just what he does. He wants to call you all home back to him. So number one is prayer and connection, right? Prayer and connection with my Heavenly Father for me. Um, and then this willingness to look, the really the sacred key practice is then the willingness to look. So 5 minutes a day, just 5 minutes a day, being willing to stop what you're doing and take the space to just be the witness of your experience. Be willing to look at what you're experiencing. Like so many people are disconnected from their bodies. They don't even know what's going on in their body.
Mm.
I was working with a woman one time and we were just doing a gentle body scan, like literally just scanning her body from head to toe. And the Lord just led me to say, isn't it interesting that your head is connected to your neck and the rest of your body? And after we came out of the visualization, she was like, do you know that that's the first time that I felt my body below my neck? I
Oh.
was like, wow. We just
Mhm.
run around as this head. We're all up in our head. We don't even know what's going on in our bodies. We're not even connected to what we're feeling. We don't know if we're feeling a sensation in our body. We don't know if we're feeling an emotion because we're so disconnected. And so, this simple practice of coming home, right, to your body, like, what am I experiencing in this moment? Oh, my mind is racing. Just notice it. You don't need to quiet it down. This isn't meditation. You're not focusing on one point. You're just witnessing what wants my attention right now in this moment. Is it my thoughts? Is there a physical sensation that is just showing up in my body? Maybe I got an ache in my body I never noticed before. Oh, is that my foot? Oh, is that my, oh, I actually have a body? Whatever's showing up, like, oh.
Mm.
And maybe emotions are going to show up. Like maybe emotions just start to rise up because over time they will. What are you noticing? What are you experiencing? Maybe like in your environment, you're hearing something like the air conditioner's kicking on, or you're smelling something. Someone's cooking something and it smells really good. What are you experiencing in the moment? And that's it, 5 minutes. I promise you won't die. And that simple piece of giving yourself the 5 minutes of being willing to look within yourself, you will begin to start looking at things outside of yourself. All of my clients that do this practice start to spontaneously create order in their lives. It looks
Mm.
differently for everyone, and the longer it's been going on, the longer it takes. But every single one of them is like, oh, I just like organized the junk drawer the other day. Or, oh, I just came home and started organizing. I never do that.
Mm.
But it's also going to translate to other areas of your life because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. So if we haven't been looking at our stuff, right, we probably haven't been looking at what we put in our bodies. We probably haven't been looking at our bank accounts. We probably haven't been looking at the relationships in our lives. And so what's going to happen is every area of your life is going to start to get better. You'll start letting go of people that aren't so supportive to you, or they'll just start drifting away. You don't even have to let them go. They'll just start drifting away. You'll start being more conscious of what you consume with your mouth and put in your body, what you consume with your mind, what you feed yourself mentally and spiritually. Every area of your life will get better by doing this one simple practice.
Wow. I mean, who doesn't want that? One simple
And it's so
practice.
simple and it's
Really
free.
trans I know.
It's
And
free.
sometimes the simple stuff can feel like the most daunting, hardest thing, especially when stepping into leadership can feel very lonely, right? And so it's that whole feeling like people pleasing or looking bad. And so community and bridging that is really, I think, what can support someone on this journey. And so I think oftentimes just decluttering your life, not just your room, can feel so isolating. But your work really creates safe spaces and community around it. How do you seek that connection and accountability, transforming the way that people approach clearing their lives in all ways?
Mm. I mean, I think just when you start to create the space in yourself and you start to show up for you, like, and you become willing to look, like it just opens all kinds of doors. Like it just opens, like, I mean, I was very isolated and alone for a long time. I was in a very toxic relationship where I wasn't really allowed to have friends and do extracurricular activities. And as a result of doing this work, I started having boundaries for myself. I started standing up in that relationship. I started reaching out and making connections. And those connections started opening doors to more connections. And I went from, being somebody who pretty much just hung out by myself to now it's like, oh no, I need to start taking time for myself because I spend a lot of time with people. And I'm like, 68% introvert on the Myers-Briggs scale. So, or I guess I'm considered an ambivert. I can do both. But I need that alone time. So it's just what you need is going to show up when you make space. And that's the beauty of it. There's no need to force anything. There's no need to be like, oh, I really should be joining these groups and I should be doing this thing. Like when you create space, opportunities open. Like just doors just start to open and connections start to come in that you never expected. And then those lead to other connections. It's that
Mm,
simple.
I love that. When you start to show up and create space for it, what you are meant to have, that abundance and those prayers that you keep sending up will start to show because there'll be space for them to come.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and also
and it's
the other thing is like the resistance is gone, right? So if you think about it, if you're not willing to look, it's like you got a wall up, right? So there's this energy of resistance. And if we're in resistance, we're blocking what's coming to us. But once we become willing to look and we're in a state of openness, now the Lord can start bringing things in that you'll receive. Probably lots of things were coming in. You just couldn't receive it and you couldn't see it because you were in too much resistance.
Yeah, and one thing I learned too in the leadership room is what you resist will persist. And I think Tony Robbins says it all the time, where he says what you focus on expands,
Yep.
energy flows where energy goes where energy flows. Like you hear it so many different ways. And I think it's interesting that what I'm hearing you say is start to focus on creating space and willing to look inward and perhaps without a judgment lens, without being right or wrong about something, just to get curious about it so that you can create the space for those opportunities and those serendipitous opportunities. Because, I think you said it, as you're always constantly getting opportunities brought to you, but you're not willing. You reject them because you're in that space of, oh, this can't be for me. Something's like because you're not open, right? Because you're not believing that you're worthy of it. So,
Yeah. And the
um,
other thing I want to jump in really quick too is just like, even if you are noticing yourself being in a state of judgment when you're willing to look, like there's no right, wrong, good or bad. Your whole point in that 5 minutes is just to witness exactly as you are. So if you're in a state of judgment, you don't need to change it. It's just notice it. Oh, I'm judging there, right? It's not right, wrong, good or bad. It just is in the moment. And so the magic of this willingness to look is the creating the space for all of you exactly as you are, not needing to change or fix anything. So if your mind is racing, you don't need to quiet it down. If you're being judgmental and crabby or whatever you're being, like just notice it. It's like, oh, okay. Make the space for it. Because if you resist it as well, it's like, oh, I shouldn't be judgmental right now. I'm not supposed to be judgmental. There's resistance, right? And so I was like, oh, there I go
very,
being judgmental again.
mm, I love that. Yes. And man, that can be so subtle in our subconscious. That could be such a quick, small thing. And that's how we're holding ourselves small. So thank you for adding that extra little
Yeah.
snippet, 'cause it's so true. We do it so often, so consistently. We got very good at it anyway, for me, up until a point. Um, so for those of us out there listening who really want to dive deeper into the work that you do, because we are closing up the call. So before we ask you the last question, I want people to really be able to access your programs. I know you have a book out. So where can folks find you?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to reach me is really like as the clutter expert. I had lots of people tell me like, "Oh, you really need to write a book," and I'm like, "I don't want to write a book," because I know what's going to happen. It's going to become clutter on people's shelves, right? And so, but they're like, "No, if you want to speak on podcasts and things like that, and you want to get seen, you need to have a book, or no one's going to have you." So I finally wrote a book, but I decided that when I wrote the book that I was not going to really sell it. I mean, you can buy it on Amazon, but I decided I was just going to give it away. So I wrote a book called Freedom from Clutter, the guaranteed foolproof step-by-step process to remove the stuff that's weighing you down. And you can have it for free simply by going to freegiftfrommel.com. You'll download the book, it'll put you in my community. All of those emails that you receive, if you respond to any one of them, they're coming to me. So you can reach me by email when you respond to one of those emails, and you can find me on Facebook at Mel Mason, the Clutter Expert, and on Instagram, Decluttering Spaces.
I love it. Just I'm just making myself notes, make sure I'm following you. I think I am. And I want that book because, my husband, whew, I'm sure he could sit down and talk to you for an hour about my cluttering issues.
And if he spots them, he's got some. So that's the way it works.
I love it. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to tell him that. But keep that one to me for now anyway. Okay. So our final question, but I want to invite everybody to please grab this book. I love her approach of practicality, and it's so true. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So this is really going to support you in all aspects of your life. And if you don't currently have a cluttering problem, I invite you to like really look in your life. Maybe it's not physical clutter. Okay. Maybe it's digital clutter. Maybe it's clutter on your phone.
Maybe
But
it's
we
a
all
busy schedule and you don't have enough time.
know everybody talks about, I don't have time, I'm too busy. Yes, I love that.
Yes.
So it'll support you on
So,
everything. So go
hey.
get your book. So for the listeners who still may feel overwhelmed or buried under their clutter, under the chaos, under their overwhelm, right? It could be all that umbrella. What powerful reminder would you leave with them about coming home to themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I love this. This is what I love to leave people with at the end. That like really that the way to get free from clutter in every area of your life is super simple. There's only one requirement. Your presence is required.
Mm, I love it. Simple. That's it. Oh my gosh.
That's all you're
Like,
gonna get from me is simple. Keep it
that's
simple.
it. Your presence is required. Oh my gosh, that literally is like giving me chills because it's true. That's really how you ask questions. That's how you show up. That's how you create space. I mean, simple, easy, and so like on the mark. I love it. So thank you so much. So honored to have you here, Mel. I love um, just who you be in the world and how you show up and spreading the word on really helping so many of us out there with our clutter in all forms of life. So thank you for being here again. So as
Thank you
we
for
close,
having me. Love you so much and just so proud of you and for your commitment to your transformation. It's been such a beautiful journey to witness and honored to be your captain.
you're my captain, oh captain. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful to have you in my life now. But as we close this illuminating conversation with the beautiful Mel Mason, one truth rings super clear. Your mess is your message. The outer chaos we see around is often a mirror of the inner clutter that we've been avoiding. Healing really begins when we find the courage to look within, to face the emotions, the pain, and the stories that are asking, begging for our attention. Mel reminds us that this isn't an overnight process. It's a sacred devotion and it does take time, patience, and the willingness to look again and again, but with love, not judgment. Because when you begin the healing journey, to heal that inner chaos, you clear the space to reconnect with the divine, with the part of you that already knows that peace and order and grace is divine. And the magic happens in the small moments, the 5 minutes a day that you choose to be present, to breathe, and to ask, what needs my attention right now? And it's in those quiet spaces that God begins to work his miracles. And life opens in ways you never imagined. So start small, create space, build a relationship with something greater than yourself. Because what you need will always appear when you're willing to make room for it. So if this conversation sparks something within you, if your heart cracked open just a little more, perhaps you felt seen or simply not alone. Please share this, sisters, and subscribe to our channel because when you do, this content can reach more women just like you who need that reminder that she's not alone, that her voice matters, and that healing is possible. Remember, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Until next time, sisters, keep shining, keep rising, keep coming home because you matter and you are enough exactly as you are. I am your host, Margarita Rose, here today with Mel Mason on the Coming Home to You Sparkcast. We'll see you next week. Same channel, same spark time, same spark channel. Either way, it works. All right, I'll see you guys. Bye.